Hey everyone, what is going on? We are back, and to say things have changed since the last time I made a video would definitely be an understatement. We have fully moved into GUBA 3.0. Gone is Nashville, Moscow, Edmonton, Houston, Sydney. We've got a lot of new teams in here. We've got new divisions. We've got a lot of new players. So I know it's definitely been a nice breath of fresh air for me. I really enjoyed doing the inaugural draft and kind of building up a team for the first time in the way I would like. I got to rebrand my team and make uniforms and logos. It was nice to be able to do all that. Gone are the Kansas City Monarchs. They've been moved down to my AAA affiliate. Um, but yeah, shout out to Joel and Scott for getting they put all the hard work they put in to get this league running up and off the ground for all of us to enjoy. So I thought it'd be nice to sit down here for a little bit and kind of just dig into what's been going on so far for the first month and a half of our new league here. We've hit May 17th of our inaugural season. We've played about 40 games. So just gonna dive in and kind of look at some of the stuff that's going on, some of the new trends, a couple things that I've noticed. Hopefully my audio sounds all right for you guys. I haven't done this in a while, so there might be a couple things off. So if it sounds weird, let me know. I was a little bit before I started recording this, and I definitely know you can hear my furnace in the background. So I apologize, and hopefully that doesn't bother anyone. But here you can see I've got the standing page pulled up, with our four new divisions here. You can see all the new team logos and names that we've got going. There's a lot of those I really like. We also have some of the old names in here as well. Like I've got three in my division in Singapore, Seoul, and Dublin. So it's good to see, some of the old mixed in amongst some of the new. Like I pointed out on Slack last night, and to no surprise, there's a lot of teams in the conversation. Um, just in the fib alone, like I said, second place team is Philadelphia. They're sitting at 20 and 18. You drop all the way down to 11th place. I've got my team sitting at 18 and 19. Only in a game and a half back of second place, which is crazy when you think about even only a month in. That's still you've got 10 teams between 18 and 20 wins. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out down the stretch. But I imagine that will lead to a trade deadline, like we haven't seen before, especially with the last couple versions, at least last couple seasons of 2.0. Over in the MBBA, things are a little bit more spread out. You've got Cairo has jumped off to in the league, best record in the league so far, sitting at 28 and 11. They've been playing well with the treat them and behind them, hot on a 7-game winning streak. Down at the bottom, they've got a couple more teams, sitting at that below 18 win mark, but none of them building to have bad teams in the first year. I think everyone was pretty much drafting to win this season. So I expect these teams, to definitely still hang in the mix for sure. I think myself and Scott were the only ones that were really targeting prospects, after the first couple rounds, consistently. So, like I said, it's definitely going to lead to a little bit more of a trade market, I believe, than what we've had in the last couple seasons that we got in 2.0. I've been blocking a couple, what I believe to be very talented players with elite skill sets. And yesterday or last couple of days, Honolulu has come out blocking a couple of their starting pitchers. So plays out for sure. They're sitting at 19 and 19. So I think the main issue was they're unwilling to talk contract extensions. So Kelly's looking to get out and she can and get some value for them before they walk in free agency. I would come around, especially towards the end of the season, about extensions. But again, version of the game we're playing is 22, so who knows exactly how that will work with that. I think also Greenville had blocked a couple players as well, so we'll see if Ron is looking to start selling after their 16 and 22 start, looking to buy just last week. So we'll kind of see what plays out with these teams that are starting to sell talent, and if some big time buyers start to emerge to kind of get them in the running for that first title in 2021. So I think the biggest thing that I've noticed so far with the changes for this league, and this has obviously been pointed out already, but I might as well mention here as well, is the change in the statistical outputs for offense, and I guess vice versa pitching. The league average for the MBBA is up to 290, and over in the FIB it is 280. So I think when we ended 2077 in 2.0, we were sitting around 250, 255. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think somewhere in that ball. So obviously these numbers are way above that. We're playing with league settings that are set in the 1980s. So obviously that's a big difference from where baseball's at in the modern day. And that has definitely been reflected in how our players are playing so far. So this is just kind of something that all GMs are going to have to continue to keep in mind, especially for these first couple seasons while we adapt to some of the ratings that will work and won't work. I mean, if you got a 300 batting average hitter, where in 2.0 he could have been pretty productive. I don't think we were only having a handful of players that were hitting above 300 in this league. He might turn out to be kind of an average hitter, especially if he's not giving you anything for defense or anything on the bases or any power. He just might be a replacement of something we don't, and that's something we don't know for sure yet. But the more that we play, the more seasons that we get through, we'll be able to finally figure that out. So you just have to keep that in mind with the league totals, that obviously you're gonna have to evaluate players differently. The same comes with team totals. You can see the league average here for both leagues. So I'd say the average of the GUBA is probably right now sitting at 465. So that's obviously, again, a big difference from where if you're looking at a starting pitcher and you see he's got an average of 465, he could be a middle to 3-4 type pitcher for you. Whereas in 2.0, maybe he's your fifth starter, but if you're a contender, you probably want better than that. But now you have to keep in mind that that is the new average. So the stuff all in mind as they're building and offering contract extensions, looking at guys in free agents. Both have changed, and so has the average. I know there's a couple of GMs that have put together some nice features on the forums about this stuff already. So you guys can go over and check that out if you're looking for more info. But I just wanted to do a quick hit on that as well. If I pull up the team page, you can see kind of some of these, the team leaders in batting and pitching. I think the craziest thing that stands out to me is defense here. Philadelphia, with the league's best defense at a .685 defensive efficiency, which is crazy. That one might have been average in the last version, but now that I know with my team, and pull it up here, we were sitting at .67. So that's good for fifth, and you would definitely be towards the bottom. With Kansas City, if I had that mark when I was with the Monarchs, that would definitely not be something to be proud of. So it's interesting to see how that has changed and if that'll continue to be like that going forward. Obviously, none of us really know that right now, and we'll see how that plays out. Another thing kind of interesting across the way there is the batting average. Like I already talked about, how batting average is way up to have a team, like Aruba. Their whole team is batting 321. That's just crazy to think that, they're hitting that number. I think we were struggling to get hitters, at the end of 2.0 that even hit that mark alone, individual hitters for the whole league. I think we'd have only a couple that would hit that. So, to turn batting, the whole team batting, that number is crazy. Obviously, I don't think that's going to hold up through the rest of 2021, but still to even be in the ballpark of that number is pretty ridiculous. So another thing that is a big change for 3.0. Again, it's been talked about already, but might as well dive into it while we're just getting started here. Is the bullpen usage, and I guess in turn overall the whole rotation, the whole pitching staff, and how you're going to set that up. Obviously we're with the 1987 settings, so starters have been going much deeper into games than we have saw before. If you take these pitch counts off, you're going to see them going 7-8 innings if they're pitching well, no problem. I've got pitch counts on all mine, and I think a lot of other GMs, put some pitch counts on some. So the way you're going to construct your bullpen is obviously going to be completely different than how it was before. It's obviously not as much a priority, which is nice because it does give you some extra roster spaces that you can used for platoons and whatnot. So I think a lot of teams are going with 5 to 6, and maybe some have 7 relievers, but really you can definitely get by with 6 for sure, which I wouldn't have even thought about, with KC. So I've got mine more. I've even using mine more than I think a lot of teams are right now. I've got 3 guys that are on pace for more than 100 innings on my bullpen. I think Rich Flynn has started a couple games, so he's doesn't exactly fit in with the other 2, but it'll be interesting to see how their arms kind of hold up, versus how they were doing in 2077 2.0. So that'd be definitely something that we're all gonna have to follow and see how that plays out. I think the super reliever role that we saw, with stoppers or the middle relief used more often, and high leverage guys, that role is definitely evolving from where it was before. I don't know. I've got Justin Bibb, who, in my opinion, is a pretty elite talent so far, kind of sitting in that role. I don't have him with high leverage, but I've got him as middle relief for use more often, and I've definitely been using him a lot. So it might kind of turn out to be similar to that, but again, with all this stuff, we're gonna have to keep on for the first couple seasons and to see kind of what trends and what works. What statistics come from what ratings, for sure. So a couple of things that I want to point out before I wrap up here, just some things that I've noticed that might help some GMs, or at least help them, make sure something they keep in mind when they're going through here these first season. I just talked about pitch counts for your major league team. I know a lot of us are doing that, but something else that you should probably keep in mind is for pitch counts for your minor leaguers. I noticed that at least with your top arms, you probably want to have pitch counts on them. So I've got some of my top 100 prospects. Bobby Heffington is one of them here. I autoed a pitch count, so you lost that pitch count, so you can see he got up into the 130s where I had him down closer to 105 before. So I'll probably have to go in and edit his player strategy to make sure he sticks at that when I auto my minors. But you definitely don't want your young arms to get worn out, throwing 140 pitches, especially your top guys down in the minors. I've kind of got a theory that that's why we had so many, pitchers that were underdeveloped in our inaugural draft, just because, the AI was having them minors, crazy in the minors, so they weren't able to fully develop. I don't know if there's any merit to that, but that's kind of just a thought I had. So I've got another guy in my A team here. Got him set at 105. Obviously, pretty big prospect for me. I don't want him blown out his arm because he's throwing 150 innings or 150 pitches a game. I can kind of keep him controlled here. I really started noticing this when I was looking at some of our top prospects here, especially with Scott's guys. You can pull them up here, but let's see, which one was I looking at? Was it Steve James? No, he hasn't pitched. It would have been Ty Bowen. So yeah, Ty Bowen. He had on May 4th, Ty Bowen, number 5th prospect in the GUBA right now, those 153 pitches. That can't be good for any pitcher to be throwing like that. He follows it up with 124 and 131. If I'm Scott, I'm for sure throwing pitch counts on, his top arms like this. You don't want them throwing that many pitches, whether the game will allow them to do it or not. Now, since our settings have changed, will that lead to less of an effect on? But it certainly can't be, beneficial for them to throw that many pitches. So I think I would prefer to, err on the side of safety and, make sure they're only getting to 100, 110 pitches and then kind of assess them going forward and see how they develop with that. So that's something I would definitely keep an eye on, all GMs, especially if you got, any of these guys right here, if you're Soul, or San Juan with some of these other guys as well, making sure you have pitch counts on your top minor league arms just to make sure they're not, killing themselves down in the minors, throwing too many pitches. The other thing I've noticed is really interesting so far to me is third baseman defense. So if you can see, my guy so far right now has been pretty horrible, over at third defending this year. And I think he's a little under, still getting experience at third base. I wonder if he was primarily used as a second baseman before we started. So maybe he's just picking up experience there. But I've kind of looked through some of the other teams as well. I know I looked through my division, like Matt Hartley here, only with that 3 range. We still got 7 arm, but he's been atrocious at third base for Jacksonville. Not good. Trying to think what other teams I was looking at here. New York. Again, kind of Mark Wyatt with the same kind of ratings here, a little bit better than Hartley. Again, he's been horrible as well. Not good defensively. I think Jacksonville had Velasquez, so he's a good defender. I think he's been fine. Yeah, so he's been a little below average. Honestly, fine though, mostly average. So that's kind of one thing that I've been looking at that I noticed the other day is defense at third base has the ratings changed for requirements to be there. I know I'll pull up my guy again here, Justin. This would be a pretty standard rating set to have in 2.0. Range really wasn't a factor. I think of the last guy I had Tomokazu Seki. With Kansas City, I think he had a 3 or 4 range. It wasn't very good. He had decent error rating and had mainly just a strong arm. I think it was 8, 9, or 10, and he was totally fine there. I think he was even above average. But so far it definitely looks like third base ratings have definitely been a little different this year, and it'll be interesting to see if that position kind of changes with the requirements to have good defense there. Again, this could be something that's affecting every position, and obviously we've only had play for a month and a half, so small sample size, but it's definitely something that I'll be watching along, as well as other defensive statistics for other positions. With the change in ratings, defense is one of the things with the pinch count, offense and bullpen changes, they've been at the top of biggest differences in 3.0. So just something to watch there, I think, as well as like I mentioned, the pitch counts for your minor leaguers. Also keeping an eye on your third baseman, because I think the ratings have changed a little bit to what we can play there and expect decent defense. So I think that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in if you watched and listened to this whole video. Hopefully I can get this going a little bit more and possibly pump out a few more of these. I'd like to get one if I can, on a weekly basis if I can, if time permits, but we'll see. So thank you guys for tuning in.